Imagine you're getting ready to start your new life at college. Going to a beautiful university by the beach. Your uncle is letting you stay at his diving shop. As you look around, you see a beautiful woman that takes your breath away, yet seems strangely familiar. The sound of the ocean waves, the shining rays of the sun. This is the start to your new life. You open the door to the diving shop, excited to face the new adventures of your adult life. Only to open up to this. This is gonna be fun! Welcome, friends! I'm Merlin with a Y, a certain famous wizard's less talented but more attractive cousin. And I'm here to talk about one of the most criminally underrated manga I've ever read. This series is like alcohol. Just a little bit, and you'll laugh your ass off, then wake up somewhere unfamiliar, completely butt-ass naked. That's right, I'm talking about Grand Blue, or Grand Blue Dreaming for the English translation. This is one of my favorite comedy manga of all time, but it's not just a manga. With both an anime and a live-action movie, this is one of the few comedy mangas where every adaptation I've found has been pure gold.
Comedy gold.
This is one of the few comedy mangas that can actually make me laugh. Not breathe slightly faster or kinda smile, but genuinely laugh. To the point that when I read it in public, which I probably shouldn't do, I have to purposely stifle my laughs to not draw any attention. And I don't always succeed. Let me introduce you to a world where shamelessness is a state of being. Clothing is optional, and the water is flammable. Oh, God! I've wanted to cover this series for a while, but with the announcement that they are finally going to make Season 2 for the anime at long last, I've decided it's finally time. And for a series like this, I felt that there was only one way to talk about it, while honoring the material. And that's by getting absolutely smashed before recording this. So I'm gonna take a drink break before I get into the nitty gritty.
3 hours later.
Now then, vamos! The story follows Iori Kitahara as he starts his new life as a college student at Izu University. Staying at his uncle's diving store, the Grand Blue, he gets reacquainted with his cousins in probably the worst way possible. As right before he meets one of them, he's essentially kidnapped by two naked muscular men who force him to play strip rock paper scissors with hilarious results. Yeah, not the best first impression. But that's okay. Sure, he might have messed up with his cousin Chisa, but he still has a whole campus of people who can become his lifelong friends and maybe even a girlfriend. His dream college life is still within his grasp. Oh. Yeah. I think he burned that bridge. But at least he has a whole new band of brothers, even if they're the ones who did this to him in the first place. And yeah, he got a new best friend too. Or a new enemy, depending on how you look at it. In his attempts to not be forced into the cult that is the Peekaboo Diving Club, Iori dragged down another poor soul with him. Though to be fair, they kinda dragged each other down. Either way, these two are in for one hell of a college experience. Because these dumbasses joined the diving club, so their liver and reputation will not survive. Because here's the thing, this might be an underwater diving club, but that's more of a side thing. What this club really is about is ingesting inhuman amounts of alcohol and getting completely naked. Don't worry though, it's mostly the men in the group that do that. This is a weird series, and I love it. It's a breath of fresh air compared to the usual comedy manga I see, And it's not just because they have so many reaction faces that are just dripping with meme potential. I mean, look at these. And these are only from a handful of chapters. I just love series with these kinds of faces, so this is automatically gold for me. But besides that, the characters being college students opens up the story to a lot of hijinks that most high school focused anime don't do. This is very much a college slice of life manga with a ridiculous amount of comedy shoved in there, and it works so well. For a series that at first glance seems like it relies on the characters getting naked for all of its comedy, it actually has more variety than that. There are chapters where the characters are trying their hardest to cheat on a test, getting their balls crushed in the name of science and pettiness, or even having a full-on discussion on how to get their ugly friend to lose their virginity, and one of the potential possible solutions is him sleeping with a gorilla. And those are just the school-related hijinks. But the vast majority of the plotlines center around the cesspool of alcoholic stupidity that is the Peekaboo Diving Club, which is, yes, a diving club. For all the drinking and stupidity, this manga shows a deep love and appreciation for diving, with Iori stepping foot into what feels like a whole new world, despite the fact that when the manga starts, he can't even swim. For a series filled with some absolute degenerate comedy, it has a lot of legitimate heart when it wants to. And those moments give honestly some of the most inspiring and down-to-earth advice that honestly I wish I heard earlier. Iori came to college looking for new experiences, but the moment he was offered one, he turned it down because he couldn't swim, and used that as justification not to try. But it's not about whether he can or can't swim. What matters is whether he wants to or not. Because in the words of one of the alcoholic muscle men, if all you ever choose to do are things that you can already do, then nothing is ever going to happen. The only thing that matters is whether or not you have an interest in doing it. This manga perfectly captures the feeling of falling in love with the hobby, or stepping into what feels like a whole new world, and just wanting to experience more. Be it the ups and downs, Iori's gonna experience it all, and he's gonna have a very strange group of friends to experience it with him. A big draw for the series is its eccentric cast of characters that play off each other so well. Sure, there are plenty of jokes and moments that I remember like it was yesterday, but it's the eccentric cast of characters that make me love this series the way I do. This giant group of alcoholic idiots are simultaneously one of the most supportive and destructive friend groups I've ever seen, and I love it. Well, they're supportive as long as you don't mind getting blasted pretty much all the time. The Peekaboo Club will make you an alcoholic, and probably a stripper, unless you're a woman, in which case you don't have to kill your liver and strip naked, unless you want to. These psychos share with each other experiences that change their outlooks on life, give each other support and care for each other, but they also assume the worst of each other, put each other through literal torture, and genuinely look at each other in disgust at times. This isn't some found family bullshit. These are a bunch of dysfunctional, dishonest, alcoholic, perverted, opportunistic, exhibitionist college students, and they are simultaneously the kind of friends I wish I had and want nothing to do with. But hey, if you don't mind destroying your social life, having hangovers be your default state, and have an aversion towards clothes, then this is the club for you. So let me introduce you to the people whose names will fill the future liver transplant list. I get the feeling they're all gonna be on that eventually. Starting with the main character, we have Iori Kitahara. While he starts the series as a relatively normal first-year college student, it doesn't take long for the club to corrupt him into another binge-drinking nudist. While he is a pretty big pervert, he's not nearly as annoying as other perverted characters in anime, mainly because he actually has basic self-control. Don't get me wrong, he's a perverted bastard, But there are multiple times where he's given the opportunity to lose his virginity and he outright refuses. If there's one thing I can say about Iori, it's that he's genuine. He might be a scumbag, but for all his flaws, he's someone who truly loves his friends and has learned to be open about new experiences. He might make fun of his friends constantly, but if someone outside their friend group does it, then there will be hell to pay. Sure, he's incredibly petty and a complete idiot, and perverted, but he's also kind, compassionate, and unafraid to make an ass of himself to help a friend. He's a scumbag with a heart of gold, or a piece of shit with a diamond lodged in there. Either way, he's a fun character that I can't help but root for. Next up is Iori's best friend and fellow first year, Kohei Imamura, an obsessive otaku who embodies some of the best and worst aspects of weeb culture. Imamura is someone with a genuine love for what he does. He doesn't care about what other people think about him or his hobbies. He knows what he loves and no one can take that from him. His passion for all things anime is something I can really respect. But on the other hand, he also embodies some of the worst traits of otakus as well. Still, he's an entertaining weeb that, while at times a bit much, he's also a character that I relate to far more than I should. There's something relatable about a guy who's unpopular with women despite being considered incredibly handsome in the series, purely due to his personality and interests. After all, I might be so gorgeous that even bards look at me with envy, but it doesn't change the fact that my personality is garbage. Despite his unfortunate flaws, he's still a hilarious character that I can't help but respect, be disgusted by, and relate to. But speaking of gorgeous people with terrible personalities, next up is the main love interest, Chisa Kotagawa, the main character's cousin. Yeah, don't think about it. She's a serious stone-faced girl who doesn't really participate in the rest of the group's idiocy, but still has her own quirks. Her temper can get the better of her at times, and her vindictiveness is honestly impressive at times. She's often the one who punishes Iori and the rest when he does something particularly stupid and deserves it. However, she does have one thing that defines her above all else: a deep love and appreciation towards diving and the ocean. Her face might seem like it's made of stone 90% of the time, but when she's diving or even doing anything remotely related to diving, she shows her softer side, and we can see the pure love and passion she has for it. She has more passion for diving than most people have a will to live. The ocean is like a scumbag boyfriend. It's the most important thing in her life. She spends all her money on it, and all her friends have had a turn with it, but she loves it anyway because it makes her wet. Despite her aloof and often rough personality, she's also one of the kindest members of the group. She can be very perceptive at times, and if she sees that someone is having a hard time, she'll do what she can to help, though she's a bit awkward and isn't always successful. But most of all, at least according to Iori, she has a great ass. Speaking of a great ass, Nanaka Kotagawa, Chisa's big sister. Nanaka is the sweet, nurturing mother hen to the group. While much like her sister, she doesn't really go along with the intense drinking and partying that the rest of her clubmates do. She also doesn't have that same disgust that Chisa sometimes shows. Altogether, she seems like any man's ideal woman. Sweet, caring, beautiful, and with a lot of patience. She has one problem though. She's an intense siscon. What? Did you expect someone in this manga to not be a weirdo? Have you been listening at all? She very well might be the most perverted character in the series. The less said about her fantasies, the better. Don't let her pretty and sweet exterior distract you from being quite possibly the craziest character in the cast. But speaking of perverted, we have Best Girl, Asusa Hamaoka, a bisexual disaster who has a crush on two different people, yet is still single. I hate how much I relate to that. She's one of the only female characters that actively participates in the rest of the club's drinking and stripping, much to our delight. She's very much one of the boys, with her fun-loving and audacious personality, mixed with her complete lack of shame. which makes her one of the most entertaining characters of the main cast. She's a hot older college girl who loves to party and just loves to tease you. Need I say more? Well, if we're talking about the exact opposite of Azusa, we have Aina Yoshiwara, or as she's better known, Keiki. Aina is a sweet, shy girl who just wanted to be popular in college, so she tried to reinvent her image by just caking herself in makeup. Yeah, that's probably didn't have the effect she hoped it would, with the heavy makeup and the way she kinda gets messy when she gets confident. Yeah, at least she made friends in the diving club. Aina is the voice of reason in the club, the one person who hasn't been corrupted by everyone else's stupidity and isn't used to it. As such, she's usually the straight man in a lot of the comedy, but when she lets loose, may God have mercy on your soul. And finally, we have Kotobuki and Tokita. They're basically the same person, so I'll cover them together. They excessively drink, strip naked, and sometimes go diving. Okay, those are the club members. And I can't get enough of their weird relationships. All of the characters, except maybe the muscle gorillas, have a unique and entertaining relationship to each other. Despite being at each other's throats for the most basic stuff, Iori and Kohei have a strange friendship that feels weirdly real, rather than being the ever-supportive power of friendship Yu-Gi-Oh! Type friend group. It feels like a real friendship, with plenty of making fun of each other and insults that you wouldn't say to your worst enemy. Even less developed friendships still have their moments, like when Nanaka finds out that Iori is attracted to her. Nope, no more. We get it. Moving on. And as such feels awkward around him, until they're able to talk it out. And it's not just the Iori-centered relationships. Aina and Kohei have a hilarious dynamic and friendship, with them both trying to be supportive to each other. Keyword, trying. Then there's the dynamic of the older members of the club, who have had years of memories together and as such have a deep understanding of each other, but also have their own complications and baggage as a result of that. And plenty more where that came from. There are a bunch of characters outside of the club who are just a treat to see interact with our resident weirdos. Though that does remind me of the one thing that holds this manga back in my opinion, besides the well of toxicity that is Iori's out-of-club friend group. And that is the choice of romantic pairing. For the most part, there's only one romantic pairing that I have an issue with, but it's the main one, so that's not good. From the very beginning, it's very clear that the author wants Iori to end up with Chisa, which I, and many other readers, are not a fan of. It's not even because of the whole cousin thing, since the author decided to make it so that they aren't related by blood, but it's something more fundamental. These two don't have enough romantic chemistry. Sure, their dynamic is fun, with them having a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve with a girl who doesn't express herself, but it really doesn't feel like enough. Throughout the series, there are multiple characters who develop feelings towards Iori, because obviously it's anime, and most of those characters have more chemistry with him than Chisa. I can think of one character in particular who matches his freak perfectly, and I can't get enough of their dynamic. But it just rings hollow when you know that the author is going to pair him up with the girl who just doesn't feel compatible. Iori is a shameless pervert. Meanwhile, Chisa gives off asexual vibes. I just can't picture them working together as a relationship, despite the fact that they're technically in one for most of the series. It's a fake relationship due to shenanigans, but you see my point. This ship is the one thing about this series that really annoys me. Once again, besides these fucks. But this video is already getting a bit too long. My point is though, that even if I'm really not a fan of this one particular choice, it's still a single drop of mediocre in an ocean of peak entertainment. I love Grand Blue. It was one of my favorite anime for the longest time, and if there's any comedy manga that deserves to be talked about more, it's this. Underneath all the drinking, stupidity, and weirdness, there's a heart to the series that, to me, hits close to home. The idea that you need to break out of your comfort zone and be less concerned about what you can't do and more concerned about what you want to do, that the only person that's holding you back from having incredible experiences that you will remember for the rest of your life is you? Sure, these guys are laughing stocks who make an ass of themselves all the time, but they're having fun. I can confidently say that out of everyone in that university, these guys are having the most fun. And that's inspiring. There are so many things about this series that I love and take inspiration from in my own life, and I hope others can as well. But these are just my thoughts, and I hope you'll check this series out and tell me what you think. Let me know if you want me to cover the live action or the anime. I'd love to have an excuse to keep drinking. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. I'm Merlin with a Y, and thank you for listening to this old man ramble. Now I'm gonna go figure out how to edit this video with a hangover. And maybe get some Popeyes or something, I don't know.